As part of the celebration of the 25th anniversary of Orthodox Christian Laity, we present a two-part interview series with clergy and lay leaders entitled A Vision for a Unified Church in North America. The interviews were recorded in Chicago at the 20th annual meeting of Orthodox Christian Laity, November 2007. Each presenter is expressing his or her view on the need for Orthodox Christian unity. These presenters live in the United States, represent different Orthodox Christian groupings, and advocate the development of a unified Orthodox Christian community in the United States. They experience and witness how the existence of 14 ethnic Orthodox Christian groupings is incomprehensible to even Orthodox and causes greater confusion for others. Orthodox Christianity is seen as fragmented and in a state of disunity, when in fact no sacramental disunity exists within the liturgical life of these different ethnic group churches. The Orthodox Church is united in its liturgical and sacramental life here and all over the world. The disunity is administrative. The existence of 14 administrative structures makes for a fragmented church, are expensive to maintain, waste the resources of the faithful who support the church, and dilute the Orthodox Christian witness and mission within the United States. Since these interviews were recorded, the Orthodox Christian community worldwide has recognized the need to address the disunity within the pluralistic cultures outside of the geographic boundaries of the traditional Orthodox Christian lands. These lands include Western Europe, North and South America, Oceania, Australia, and Asia. The patriarchs of the Old World meetings in Chambonse, Switzerland, October 2008, blessed the establishment of Assembly of Canonical Orthodox bishops in these pluralistic cultural and geographic areas to meet and develop blueprints that lay the foundation for Orthodox unity in their geographic areas. Orthodox Christian Laity presents these edited interviews which address two questions. Why is unity important? And what can the laity do to assist the hierarchy in developing the blueprint for a unified church in North America? It is time for the Assembly of Bishops to move ahead and make unity the priority in Orthodoxy in America, and to inform every parish community about the progress being made to fulfill this objective and encourage the parishes to cooperate with each other.
So when I make Jesus my Lord and Savior, that means everything in my life belongs to Jesus Christ. You understand? He's my Lord. I belong to Him. My family belongs to Him. My children belongs to Him. My car belongs to Him. Even my zapata, my little dog. Everything I have belongs to Him. Why? Because it comes from Him as a blessing.
The role of the laity, I think, will be very important because often church leaders are concerned about maintaining simply the institution. And so also church leaders abroad are concerned about maintaining the institution as they understand it from their perspective. Orthodox laity in America, increasingly enthusiastic, involved in church life, are not just in an institutional maintenance mode. We are excited about church life, or laity are excited about church life. In this situation, Orthodox laity already are contributing enormously to unity through the work of agencies like Orthodox Christian Mission Center, IOCC, International Orthodox Christian Charities, collaborative efforts involving not just hierarchy, but also laity, and in fact, primarily laity, and motivated priests and other non-hierarchs. Efforts to unity in service give both experience of working together and also witness to America even before jurisdictional unity. As far as the hierarchy goes, some are more active in promoting unity than others. I think that it will be important for the hierarchs of our churches to seek out, to get to know their counterparts across jurisdictional lines, And also, I think it will be, in fact, a responsibility of Orthodox hierarchs in America to introduce their counterparts here in America to the leadership of our Old World mother churches. How impressive it would be if, for example, when Archbishop Demetrios goes to Constantinople, he would bring with him bishops from other Orthodox jurisdictions in America. If, when Metropolitan Philip goes to Damascus, to the Antiochian Archdiocese, he brings not only bishops of the Antiochian Archdiocese, but bishops from other jurisdictions, as a way of showing that the episcopate in America, even in the absence of full unity, does wish to act, work as one. In this way also, the hierarchs will provide a kind of silent witness to the thought that, in fact, without breaking relations with our Old World mother churches, without turning our back on our Old World mother churches, it is possible still for us to be one. Give us greater autonomy and greater opportunities for unity in America, and we will still stick with you. We will still visit, and not just visit, we will still support. And in this area, we will be much more effective at promoting, at securing the well-being of our Old World mother churches. It's one thing for the Archbishop of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese to speak on issues related to Greeks. This is seen simply as an ethnic lobby. How much more powerful it would be if Orthodox bishops in America together were able to address issues of common concern, so that this is not seen simply as the lobbying activities of one ethnic group or another ethnic group, but a witness of Orthodox Christians motivated by conscience and by faith to speak on critical issues of war and peace, issues related to the economy, issues related to the environment, all of those issues on which, in fact, Orthodox unity is present. We simply don't present it to the world.
It's fundamental. I don't think that it can be done without the laity because in point of fact, priests do not run a parish. They serve the parish. They ought to be serving the parish. And if there's a blame to be laid, it should be at the doorstep of the laity first, it seems to me, because we have not made our churches a home in which the ecumenical faith is preached, not only preached, but taught, practiced, and understood. We live in our own, within our own self-imposed constrictions. Once we form parishes, there's lots we could do that we don't do in order to worship together, pray together, learn together, do service together with other Orthodox of other national churches, ethnic origins, and we don't do it. Sometimes you have priests coming together in large cities. They come together and have lunch together or have consultations together, but rarely are the laity initiating this in a way that they certainly are free to do and could do if they had the will to do it.
By being good Orthodox Christians and living their faith. This is not simply a matter of, well, the church is divided, so it needs unity. The church is not divided. We're one church, we're one faith. But it's finding expression in the different communities, which was a necessity because America is a new experiment in world history. And people were welcome to this country and helped to even build this country where they enjoyed religious freedom, and they're given that opportunity to profess their faith, to propagate and to keep their church, and to build whatever facilities that they need to enhance their church's mission. So to be good citizens of this country, to respect its laws and its traditions and so forth, but at the same time to be good stewards of their own local church, and to cooperate and to collaborate with the other Orthodox churches in mutual endeavors. The future will be a bright future for the Orthodox Church, but it does not necessarily mean that a joint administration is the only way that the church can function. Well, the church has proved for the past 150 years that it can function under these unusual circumstances, but the time will come where there will be an American heritage that can be Christianized in our own communities, that would serve in the way that the ethnic heritages and the custom traditions that are a number of centuries old. So that's a big difference, and we have to now work hard at channeling the values that we have in common with American values in the founding of this country, and to exercise and preserve those values on a high level in our local church community and serve as an example to others, because there are other things that are beginning to challenge the home, marriage, and other institutions that we hold dear and holy, so what type of a common heritage are we looking to have and to express our faith through as some type of American heritage? What is this American heritage? That do your own thing, I'm okay, you okay, doesn't matter, that's not going to be Orthodox way of expressing our faith, So it's a big challenge, and it's not an administrative thing. It's a way of living the faith and serving as an example to our fellow man in the surroundings where we find ourselves. The administrative things will take care of themselves in God's good time.
The United States presents an opportunity for Orthodoxy to grow without the types of restrictions that are imposed on it, either in Islamic countries or formerly in communist countries, or where it's been persecuted, or even in countries where it has been not so much persecuted, but if it's part of a national church where the religion is established. Now, let's say, for instance, in Greece, where the priests are civil servants, their salaries are paid by the government supports the church. The laity become much more passive. They don't need to be supported by the laity. The genius of the founding fathers of this country in establishing the separation of church and state is not only that you're free to be whatever you want to be. You can establish a church. I can start a church tomorrow, rent a storefront, get a 501c3, and I'm a church. And the government will allow me to be whatever I want to be. But on the other hand, the government will not give me any money. So the result of that is that one church doesn't dominate. You don't have an established Catholic church or a Protestant church. But the laity have to support the church. And what that means is they have ownership of it. They're much more involved. We have parish councils. We have diocesan assemblies. We feel that the laity, the church obviously can't exist without the laity, can't exist without hierarchs, can't exist without clergy. In Orthodoxy, it's part of our faith. You can't have a liturgy without the people. A priest can't just start a liturgy and have a liturgy all by himself. So we have a situation where the laity needs to be educated about how important a role they have. Now, they've always known that we're in charge of fundraising. We've got to raise the money to pay the bills. We've got to build a church. But it's more than that. And they have to be, educated as to what their proper role is, and they have to participate. And so they have and should exercise, a voice in urging the hierarchs to come together. Say, look, we're ready. It's not going to cause a schism if you all get together and create a single synod of bishops. You're not going to lose a flock here and a flock there. I'm sure that in good faith, bishops in the Orthodox Church moves very slowly because they don't want to create divisions. They don't want to have schisms. And so if the hierarchs feel that their flock isn't ready, they're going to move slower. If the flock starts beating on their doors and saying, here we are, we're ready, look what's happening on campuses, look what's happening here, if you don't do something, we're going to lose our kids, we're going to lose our grandchildren. We need to have a church that speaks our language, that speaks to our children, and I think then the hierarchs will move until they get that pressure or that reassurance, let's say, the reassurance that their flock is not too far behind them, that will follow them into a united church. Then I think we'll be all right.
As far as unity is concerned, the laity must be present. There's really no church without the laity. It's not a church of just hierarchs and priests. It's a church of people and laity, which comes the term conciliar, which has always been used in the description of our church in America. And I feel strongly that there's a place for the laity, and we can always come to terms with governance and, other issues, as long as both sides are able to join together in the spirit of love and what we're all about to do what's right for the Orthodox Church.
The role of the laity is to put a little bit of a fire under the hierarchy and to have them understand without a laity, there is no church. And I'm not sure we're getting our message across. It's very, very simple to understand, but it's just not penetrating.
Well, when the lay realize there's a problem, I think they will rise up. But thus far, they look only to their own local parish, and they say, well, I have my priest, and I have my parish, and I have my church, and, I don't want to worry about the national politics. But they need to begin to start to worry about it, and some of them are, and many of them are.
Well, we can certainly appeal to our bishops that this is something that we would like to see happen, but we must do that respectfully. I think there are some things that we can do just routinely. We can visit other Orthodox churches. We can participate when they have their festivals and look for ways in our communities to participate in those synergistic events that take place. Most communities have a Sunday of Orthodoxy where all of the Orthodox churches come together, and that should be a priority. I think we should all be sure that we are there and showing our unity with our brethren in Christ. So I think looking for more ways to do that. And there are some good examples of that. I would cite the North Texas Orthodox Missions Group. They are a group of Orthodox churches from all jurisdictions that have come together with an annual festival and other workshops to show their unity and to work together on a number of items. So I think we can follow good examples like that and participate in them.
It's the same role. The church is one. Hierarchy, clergy, and faithful is all the church together. The bishops without a flock aren't shepherds, and a flock without a shepherd isn't the proper flock. So we have to work together. The role of the laity is to really speak out in this unique situation, which is North America, Canada and the U.S., two separate entities, but North America. And so it's up to the laity to make known their observations. I need to evangelize my daughter-in-law who's not Orthodox, or my friends I want to share and they don't understand this. So, and to work together, there are many wonderful Orthodox organizations, pan-Orthodox if you like to say, that work together already. And perhaps the OCL in one of its purposes may be that to bring these together to say, look, there's already this wonderful groundswell of understanding that the church is one, even though we have different languages, traditions, music. The church is one, the dogma is one, the theology is one, ecclesiology should be one. And therefore, there is already this understanding. So it's, I think, the laity are working on, and need to be the groundswell to encourage their own pastors, priests, deacons, and of course the hierarchy. They need to know that. Again, those who are elected as bishops and are approved by synods abroad, they have a certain attachment, of course, to the synod to which they were consecrated into, and that's understandable. But it's also understandable and demanding of, I believe, of our Lord, that they should respond as pastors to their flock here, and let those who have flocks abroad attend to them the best way possible. So in my understanding, the laity need to make known in positive ways. I'm not for such things like withholding money from the diocese. I see that as kind of a spiritual blackmail. Once you've offered your pence to Christ, you don't want to use it as a lever. And we need to pray for this. God listens to our prayers, and if we really are sincere about living the Orthodox life and making that life perceived and seen by others, we need to pray and to live that life as well. It can't be something artificial. It has to be something that's seen, as hopefully was seen by the Russian Church in 1970 of the OCA.
As far as unity, don't give up, have great patience, be persistent if you believe in the cause. It takes much longer than some people realize to bring this about. OCL has always perceived itself as a catalyst in trying to bring about change, because that certainly, as far as the unification of the 14 jurisdictions in the United States, that's the tradition of the church, and why I think there's a lack of education on the whole subject of unity in America, not just the older or the younger. If you were to conduct a study on this, I think there's a lot of ignorance. OCL has been trying in many ways to try to educate, if you will, the public at large about this. And it's a historical accident that this ethnicity concept evolved in America due to the political and et cetera. We were more pan-Orthodox and unified in the early years of the 20th century than we are today. Because at that time we had one bishop in an area and so on, and whereas now, in some places we have 5 bishops in one city. That's against the tradition of the church. The problem is change is difficult to come forth, and you have power situation, you have the logistics of trying to bring about jurisdictional unity gets pretty difficult for many, and there's a lot of lip service in this area, but when it comes to the action level, it's gotten more difficult than we realized, and unfortunately there is an attitude out there that if we became unified jurisdictionally, we would lose the cultural and ethnic aspects of each national church, if you will. And that's not necessarily true. So there are many facets in this, and change is difficult to bring about.
most people don't really care. They just want to go to church and worship on Sunday, and then they want to go home, go out to brunch and whatever. But the problem is, and again, I'm referring to the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese because that's what I know. I've been to the last two national clergy laities congresses, and there's been a very methodical effort to limit laity involvement. And again, I think that stems from the overall stance of the hierarchs. They really don't want to see. It seems that based on their actions, the trend is to kind of create a Roman Catholic hierarchy where you can't question it. There's unlimited authority on the hierarch's part, and unfortunately, the way the court cases that we've been involved in have gone, the government or the Supreme Court has sort of backed up those things. So the laity's in a tough spot because I know in our particular parish we're having some issues that we like our metropolitan, but we question a lot of the things he does. But now, because of the way things have been, decisions have come down, it's really hard for the laity to have any involvement. And I think the best thing we can do is educate. And when people are educated, they just become more forceful in understanding how to, when things are wrong. And when that happens, then you'll get action. And I think that's the purpose of OCL, is just to educate the laity as to the fact that it isn't just pray, pay, and obey. There's much more to it than that. And there have been situations. It's really interesting when you look at in historical terms. The hierarchs have gone off before in the wrong direction. It's happened, and it's been the laity that got them back on track. It's the concept that's called the general conscience of the church. That's the laity. That's the body of the church. That's 95% of the Orthodox faith is not clergy and not hierarchs. It's laity. And so you have this huge the silent majority that doesn't, that will, it seems like they have to be pushed to the point of being educated. And, that's coming. It will come. And we just have to be there to kind of make sure that we keep singing our song.
Well, I think I just some of that in my last answer. Right, yeah. But I think that if we establish local, I think the adage to think globally and to act locally is very appropriate here. If your particular parish, not only at the first level to invite, if you're having an event, to invite the surrounding Orthodox parishes to your event, that's kind of one kind of very, very basic thing. If you're having Lenten retreats, perhaps the local clergy association could all sponsor it together, and it could be something that could be done within the realm or under that auspices. So it's not just one particular parish. And as I mentioned before, I think a lot can be done in the area of youth work to move across jurisdictions, both at the local level and probably more so at the regional level, so that people get used to talking to one another. And that we then, by the time official unity happens, that we'll have already had de facto unity, and not just sacramental unity, which we of course have, but that we will be used to talking with one another and have those understandings in place to actually then, it would almost be a fait accompli. It would be easy. It would just almost bless what already exists. But I think as lay people, we have a lot of work to do in order to till that soil, and a lot of initiatives that we can be working on in the process to, in fact, move in that direction.
The fact that it's not just the hierarchy and the clergy that need to be looked to create unity, that the lay people, together with the clergy and hierarchy, the whole church has a responsibility to do something. And one example that was given was that the Standing Conference of Orthodox Bishops in the country has blessed many institutions and foundations and projects, but the fact is that the projects were already established and working before the blessing was given. So the idea is that the laity often see the needs and have the resources to meet them and to create programs. And so it's in that type of outreach and working in the same cities with other Orthodox that this unity can be created without being on a formal level. So the idea was that once that type of groundwork is laid, eventual physical administrative unity really would just be a given. It could easily occur, but it's not going to be long-lasting and effective and strong unless this other groundwork is laid first.
Well, the laity in the Orthodox Church, in my humble opinion, is very apathetic. This apathy may be the result of them feeling that nothing changes, that there is no leadership. There's a great lethargy in Orthodoxy. This must be broken with energizing lay people through various educational means. The internet is a hope. Video productions, wonderful books that we have to help the laity become more knowledgeable about what is the canonical order of our church, and then hoping that once they have the knowledge, they begin to interact with the hierarchy and the clergy and begin to question and push toward unity. I think that they're the essential ingredient. The church is here to serve our spiritual needs, and we have to work with the hierarchy and the clergy to say what our needs are. And I think that the apathy in the lay people is so much because the church is not meeting our needs. There's no vision, there's no passion, and the laity must bite the bullet and do what it can to learn about our faith and to push the whole body of Christ together to move ahead.
Well, I think, well, first of all, I think, you know, one of the I've said some of the talked about some of the negative developments, but there are some very positive ones, and the most positive that I am aware of is the rapid growth of the Orthodox Christian Fellowship on colleges and university campuses. This is an organization sponsored by all the bishops of all the jurisdictions, which encourages Orthodox students of all jurisdictions to come together, worship together, go to church together, play together, get to know each other on a non-ethnic, non-jurisdictional basis. And I can attest to the fact, my own son is a college student, that it is a glorious experience that hopefully augurs well for the future of what I described as the unity of the Orthodox at the local level. So I think supporting the Orthodox Christian Fellowship in communities all over the country is a very important contribution that local parishes can make in this direction. I also think that including in the program of Christian education in our parishes an understanding of the history and the role of the ancient patriarchates in the churches in America is important. A lot of what I said earlier it will be news to many Orthodox Christians, especially cradle Orthodox who were brought into the faith at baptism, infant baptism, and weren't taught about the history of the church. It's one thing to learn the theology and the Bible; it's critical, but we also need to learn about the history of the church if we're going to change anything.
We have just to study hierarchy and to know history of our church. Because there was in Russia, everybody knows Bolshevik Revolution 1917. Before that revolution 1917, Russian Church supported Orthodox mission in America. It started in Alaska in 18th century. Then 19th century mission moved to San Francisco. There's a Trinity Cathedral in downtown San Francisco with bells, beautiful in downtown. Yeah. Old church exists since 1860. Then the mission moved for a while to Minneapolis, and then came to New York. Archbishop Tikhon, who later became patriarch in Russia, was archbishop in America for that mission, and his idea was, even in early 20th century, to create one Orthodox Church in America, because there was immigration from Russia, from Greece, from Slavic countries, Bulgaria, Serbia, and also from Middle East, very many Arab, Lebanon, Syria, at that time Turkish Empire, Ottoman Empire, came to America. So Archbishop Tikhon programmed to create one Orthodox Church in America. Yeah, he was recalled to Russia, became patriarch, but then revolution happened in Russia, Bolshevik Revolution. Church was destroyed, actually nearly destroyed, was reduced to bare existence, could not support mission. So at that time, no support from nowhere. So I don't know with detail how it happened, but after in the early 1920 arose ethnic churches, Greek, Lebanese, or Antiochian, Bulgarian, Serbian, and there was still a Russian mission, yeah, that barely existed. Very hard time because no support. All ethnic churches had support from their home countries, from Europe, from Asia, from Greece, from Bulgaria, Serbia, and from Antiochian diocese. But Russian mission barely survived. Yeah. Then, a year later, this Russian mission was granted autocephaly in 1917. It became Orthodox Church in America. Yeah. This mission is not, this OCA is not yet exist de facto. De jure, not yet recognized by ecumenical patriarch. But this not bother OCA because every Orthodox Church historically broke off from the mother church. Greek Church broke off from the ecumenical patriarch. After many years, patriarch gave de facto, de jure recognition of the Church of Greece. And so every other ethnic church broke off from the mother church, and with the years being critical to the hierarchy does not make me less Orthodox. Yeah. If I am critical, yeah, doesn't mean I am not good Orthodox. Yeah.
I think really think carefully about what unity is all about. And think carefully about what our current condition tells us about, us as individual Orthodox Christians. Again, it's very easy for us to point the finger at, hierarchs or, mother churches, etc., and say that they have impeded unity. And that may indeed be the case in some instances, but I don't think stopping at criticism is the way to go. And also, I'm not one of these people who think that, I do not support the notion that unity means rupture with or freedom from what some people call the foreign domination of the mother churches. I completely reject that proposition. I think that history is about evolution, and orthodoxy is about transformation and growth and healthful movement towards Christ. And it's not about rupture, and it's not about zero-sum thinking either or. We may eventually have a unified, autocephalous Orthodox Church in America. That may well be, God willing, but that wouldn't mean that we would then be divorced from or ruptured from, our former mother churches. That's completely antithetical to the notion of communion. So I find that kind of formulation to be problematic and also very concerning, because again, I think it speaks to the fact that we don't think in terms of a collective whole. And again, I don't mean to sound like a Pollyanna, but I think we need to be we need to do a better job, I guess, at thinking about what do we mean by unity. And if tomorrow God, granted us unity, we all woke up tomorrow and we had been asleep for, an eschatological 24-hour time period, and we had a unified Orthodox Church in America. What would we do? And I think the day after scenario, to use, political science language, which is where I come from, in terms of the academy, I think we should think more carefully about the day after scenario, because I find that there's a worrying tendency on our part to say that, if only unity. Well, I guess I would challenge us to say, with unity, then what? And I think that that's our responsibility as Orthodox Christians to think in those terms. This is America's, a pluralistic religious society where there's every opportunity given to us, at least in comparable terms vis-a-vis other countries. We have, infinite amounts of potential when it comes to practicing our faith. But there are also incredible challenges, because you can choose not to be an Orthodox Christian in America. You can become anything else you wish. And so every day is a renewal of our faith commitment. And in that respect, I feel like, we need to be aware of the fact that we reconvert every day. We recommit ourselves to, to Christ and the Orthodox Church. And so unity doesn't change that reality. In some ways, it imposes even greater responsibilities on us, and I hope we can think more about how we would fulfill those responsibilities. That's good. Again, when I think about the things one might accomplish through unity, how would unity help us to make our faith more alive? How would unity help to, keep our children in the church? How would unity provide answers to, very challenging questions, bioethical questions? I mean, things related to, stem cell research. I mean, you have an ill loved one, would you want stem cell research in order to, to find a cure to such an illness? How would unity help us to answer those things? And also, if we were united and presumably had a stronger voice in the American public sphere, how would we use our unity to help fellow Orthodox Christians abroad who live under just really unbelievable conditions, most of which I think are the average Orthodox Christian is unaware of? I mean, I've felt humbled by the travels that I do and my work, by what I see other Orthodox Christians suffering under. I mean, the condition of the ecumenical patriarchate is an absolute travesty. I mean, it's a violation of every, international treaty and covenant when it comes to human rights. And, the patriarchate and the 1,700 souls there live under and labor under and survive under those conditions. The churches in the Holy Land. I mean, the exodus of Christians from Iraq, Orthodox Christians from Iraq today, what Orthodox Christians go through in China. I don't think that, I wonder how we as Orthodox Christians, if we had a unified church, would seek to help, and reach out and make stronger and make more free our fellow Orthodox Christians around the world. And that doesn't even begin to touch on what we should do for, we should try to do for everyone, So those for me are the things that are really important when I think about unity. And in terms of the American space, this is an incredible country when it comes to opportunities for religious freedom, but it's also a real religious supermarket. And that poses very different challenges, I think, here to us as Orthodox Christians and other parts of the world. And we need to learn how to participate in that, real kind of religious marketplace. And if we don't like that market metaphor, which some, and I understand, find vulgar, then we also need to find a way to think about how to transform, that metaphor, because isn't that what we're supposed to be doing, being, transforming the world and not being captured by the world?
Christ is risen, come